President Trump announced that there is a red line for our interference in Iran and what would essentially be, a quote-unquote war.
That's right. So when you look at what the president said as well, he said that a red line for action would be the killing of people like they have in the past. We would get involved. That's what the president said. Now, what we've seen over the weekend is it appears that at least by some of the estimates, is probably a conservative estimate, that more than 500 people have been killed by the regime thus far. Now, a lot of reports are probably not able to get out because of the internet issues. We've seen that Elon Musk has deployed Starlink, so that has helped a lot of ways to get the message out still, but that blackout has been kind of a big issue to try and suppress the voice of the people. But the White House told the CBS News, a spokesperson for the White House, unnamed here, said that what it would look like is we will be hitting them very hard where it hurts. It doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. You can take that to be an assumption, calls back to the summer where airstrikes, which were very, very targeted and precise against the nuclear facilities, maybe something like that is what we could infer could be coming from the United States, but maybe not on their military sites, so to speak, like a nuclear facility, but something more that would hurt the IRGC in their attempt to contain what is going on, which is now in its third week, which is going on longer than we've seen in recent history, and it seems to still be growing, not be shut down by the regime.
Yeah, one of the questions that was asked to President Trump was, well, do you think they're going to take you seriously? And he's like, well, let's look at the facts. Let's look what we've done recently. Look at what happened in Venezuela. He also goes, look at what happened with Soleimani. This is not an administration that bluffs a lot in terms of they're getting involved in these kind of actions. Now, obviously, a lot of times he's pushing them to not do it, but it doesn't seem like President Trump, specifically this go-round, has any problem with getting involved in these kind of situations. I mean, we're seeing some pretty historic action.
You're redlining it to trigger a response?
No, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military's looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
So making very strong options. I mean, that is not, that's being very clear. I feel like that is saying that there could be a lot more to this will, not just tough talk.
That's right. And when you see the response from the Iranians, this is from the Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi. Tough one to say there. But he's saying we are not warmongers, but we are prepared for war. We are also prepared for negotiations, but fair negotiations with equal rights and mutual respect. It's an interesting play by the Iranians. One, it shows, I think, that they know that they're losing grip on this one, that this one is more intense than they've seen, at least since 2009. But, okay, we're not warmongers. We're prepared for war. I understand that line coming from the Iranians in response to a red line statement by the president. But we're prepared for negotiations, but fair negotiations. I don't know what they think they're going to negotiate out on this.
Here?
The people here negotiate with the U.S. like we won't kill as many protesters if you do not bomb us.
Yeah, President Trump actually right after that quote, and I won't play the whole thing because this has a portion of the clip before, said we're looking at very strong options. They followed that up with some of the protesters were killed through stampeding. There's been many of them were shot. We're getting a full report. I'm getting an hourly report, and we're going to be making a determination. So an hourly report. I think a lot of us thought it could have even happened overnight last night.
Well, and that's what we've seen is that there was another spokesperson I saw this morning on the news that was saying that the president is being constantly updated on this. He says hourly report. This is something that is at the front of his mind. We know that Iran has been an issue that he's dealt with in his first administration. He had very strong statements in the first administration. We saw that the Biden administration gave back a lot of the issues and tried to get back to the negotiating table for a new Iran deal within the Biden administration. But here's the other thing, too. When he talks about we're prepared for negotiations, but fair negotiations, we're talking about not just President Trump, who's strong on Iran. You're talking about Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio. You're talking about Tulsi Gabbard. You're talking about John Ratcliffe at the CIA. these are individuals whose entire career in the public space has been against the regime in Tehran, and very strongly have had opinions and developed their foreign policy chops looking at wanting a free Iran, a return to the people, not the theocratic, genocidal dictators that run the country since the revolution. So when they say things like, we want negotiations, but fair negotiations, I don't think our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who has been an Iran hawk his entire career, is going to sit there and be like, you know what? Let's sit at the table and say, yeah, maybe you can stay in power and we'll even like back off on our rhetoric and let this fizzle out on the ground. No, Marco Rubio is probably the most clear-eyed on this foreign policy issue than any of the others that we've seen going on. And we've also seen he can juggle a lot of jobs and hats. He knows how to handle Venezuela, the Europeans, China. He can take on Iran at the same time.
You know, this is where it gets a little bit blurry, because if this was a George W. Bush presidency, you know, when you go back to really the last Republican pre-Trump, you go, okay, yeah, we kind of remember what we signed up for, if you will. Now, especially in the post 9/11 world, now you have a very different Republican, you have a very different conservative. How do they feel about this? I know some of us come from that old school world, so maybe your mind goes to, yeah, sure, of course we get involved. But then I'm sure there's a huge group of young people who don't necessarily feel this way. But let's go ahead and take a phone call. Let's go to Mary Ellen in Illinois, probably represents one of those factors. Mary Ellen, go ahead.
Yes, hi. And I've been following very closely how many times Iran's leadership says, oh, death to the little Satan and death to the big Satan, America. And they have funded with their money Hezbollah, Hamas, ISIS, all those other groups. And they've even sent people over to our country. They've been arrested already here over the years. So they've been really at war. But I say we have every right to say no. We will stand with the people. We want free and fair elections that we would oversee and get rid of your IRGDC or whatever that group is, the people that go out and assassinate people, and the Bajis group. Right. All of that, you know.
Well, and Mary Ellen, I think that's why, one, there is an administration now that would support those people. We saw the closest thing within modern political history, 2009, the Green Revolution, where the Obama-Biden administration at the time would do nothing to show even support verbally for what was happening on the ground. We know that this is a brutal regime. We know the evil that they have put across the world. We know that they had very close relations with Venezuela, and the way that they both made money off black market oil was enriching themselves to further terror, not to make a better life for their people. So all these things are connected, but you're also starting to see the people on the street that are fed up with it. And it needs to be a situation where Iran could be free, and the return of the Persian people, that proud history, is what rules Iran, not the theocratic, genocidal dictatorship that is the Ayatollah.
And not us either.
I 100% agree. I think that supporting the overthrow of the Ayatollah, it does not necessarily mean that we are nation building and getting in there. The Persian people are very smart people.
They may not need it.
Very resourceful. There is actually a lot of wealth within Iran that can help this get back to where it is. That is part of the problem, why it's been such a tragedy, is the squandering of the wealth of that nation on terror, on Hamas, on Hezbollah, on assassination plots against our president. Things like that. They are not the good guys here. And as Mary Ellen said, we've been at war with them. They've been at war with us for years.